Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
When the Diamondbacks were in Miami, they hit and they ran the fish right out of Marlins Park. It was a devastating 4-game sweep. Tonight, the Marlins hit the desert, dazed from dropping 3 in Philly. Clean slate tonight, Marlins and Diamondbacks. The road trip continues. The Marlins find themselves moving west. Dropping 3 in Philly, arriving in Arizona looking for wins. Chase Field, roof closed, AC on. Marlin fans in the house. A little old school on a Monday night. Fish and Diamondbacks. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. If the series in Miami... Hey, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, good to be back. Good to be back. Wish things had gone a little bit better in Philadelphia, though, for you.
If the Marlins learned one thing about these Diamondbacks, they will be aggressive and take it right to them.
Well, in that 4-game sweep of the Marlins in Miami, the Diamondbacks stole 9 bases, 7 in one game, so you know they're going to run.
Outfield. For the Marlins, it's a very different look from that series when the Diamondbacks took 4 straight. You go back to that series. Here's where the Marlins stood in the outfield.
It's really amazing. Christian Yelich, yes, he was there. Marcelo Zuna right now in AAA, but hitting well in 9 games, over 350. You know about Giancarlo. He should be back in 2 or 3 weeks. How about the outfield for this one tonight? Things are a little bit different. Yelich is still there, but all of a sudden, since May 23rd, his average has been over 300. He's up to 263. Cole Gillespie has done a terrific job, be it in right field or in center field. His 12 games as a starter, he's hit 395. And Ichiro, after suffering through that 0 for 29, has hit over 400. So a much different look in this series than what we saw in Miami.
Jessica Blaylock will have more on Ichiro in just a moment. David Phelps saw the Diamondbacks. In fact, Phelps was a guy that the Diamondbacks ran on with success.
He's one of the guys, Rich, that Chuck Hernandez worked on and talked about, hey, these guys are going to run, because David Phelps certainly knows that from his start against Arizona in Miami. He'll be opposed by Ruby De La Rosa. De La Rosa, in the game he pitched against the Marlins, went 9 innings. He got a no decision. The Diamondbacks won that game in extra innings, but gave up just 2 runs.
Marlins in the desert, looking for wins. Tonight, Diamondbacks and Fish and Ichiro, the ageless wonder, is back in right and leading off. Jessica Blaylock has more when we return. Good sport. Let's go down to Jessica Blaylock with more on the starting right fielder. Some guy named Suzuki, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. There was so much talk at the beginning of the season as to how the Marlins were going to use Ichiro Suzuki. Well, now we know. He has been great in pinch hit appearances. He's also played every position in the outfield. But what's been most impressive, he's done it all at the age of 41. Take a look at Ichiro's numbers. Since turning 40, he has played in 230 games, 23 stolen bases, and a batting average of .277. He's one of only 9 active Major League Baseball players in their 40s. Here is manager Dan Jennings on why Ichiro has been so good for so long.
Just understanding his swing, I mean, it's unique the way he swings. I think when you look at, a guy that knows his swing and knows his body the way he does, that's why when he was in the middle of that little funk, it was hard to, it's hard to use the word Ichiro and slump together. You knew he was going to come out. It was just a matter of him feeling it and figuring it out, and now he's quietly put together a 6-game hitting streak and had his first 3-hit game yesterday as a Marlin. So it's great to see, and certainly with D out of the lineup right now and Itchy filling in at the top of the order, we're very lucky to have him in that capacity.
And Ichiro keeps getting closer and closer to 3,000 hits after this weekend in Philadelphia. He stands at 2,896. Be sure to keep it right here. Coming up next, it is first pitch between the Marlins and the Diamondbacks. The Fish are looking for their first win on this road trip and their first win on the season against Arizona. Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton will have the call for you next on Fox Sports Florida, your home for Marlins baseball.
Ready to go in game one. Ichiro in the box. Ruby De La Rosa, the Dominican right-hander, fires a strike. Pinch Penny brings you that first pitch. Ichiro, Martin Prado, Christian Yelich for Miami. De La Rosa, 6 wins, 5 losses, and an ERA just over 5. Ichiro's hot right now, 6 games. Fastball up and in, and it got him, it looked like, on the wrist or the arm. Ichiro is up, dusting himself off, and let's hope he's all right. The Marlins can ill afford to lose another. De La Rosa came down and looked like actually an apology to Ichiro. Actually, it looked like it hit the bat. Let's take a look. Did it glance off of him? or did it get a piece of that left hand?
Boy, it's hard to tell because he's bailing. He's just trying to get out of the way. And it could be challenged by Chip Hale.
So Chip Hale is out. Larry Vanover is the home plate umpire. Ichiro standing at first. And the Diamondbacks are going to challenge. So this is a bit of a gamble. I mean, it looks like it does clip the bat, but if it hits any part of the hand, it's a hit by pitch. The gamble here by the Diamondbacks is there's nobody out in the first, and if they're wrong, they lose their challenge.
Yeah, not too often, Rich, do you see an early challenge of this nature. But if it works out for Chip Hale, Ichiro will have to go back in the box.
Now, it used to be in the old days they would check the hitter's hand to see if there was a red spot or if they could see where it hit him. Now, in New York, they will look and see if there's definitive evidence that it hit the bat and not his hand.
You know, in talking to those around the Diamondbacks, it's been an issue for Ruby De La Rosa over his last few starts. A lot of pitches up in the zone, a little wildness, and that ball clearly just got away from him. You could tell he was upset just by the way he went in and apologized, as it appeared, to Ichiro.
Clear and conclusive has to be the evidence back in New York. De La Rosa taking a few tosses. Here's another look. We'll slow it down as best we can. From that angle, it looks like it gets bat. As you hear it, and they're going to call it a foul ball. Ichiro's got to come back.
See, Ichiro is such a great contact hitter. Even trying to get out of the way of a pitch, he makes contact. So the challenge works out for the Diamondbacks.
So the call is overturned. They retain their challenge. And Ichiro has to gather himself and climb back in the box. And so Ruby De La Rosa will go back to work with a 1-2 count. You can see De La Rosa, the 26-year-old out of the Dominican, originally signed with the Dodgers. Went to Boston in a big trade, the Josh Beckett, Adrian Gonzalez trade. Carl Crawford as well. Then to Arizona in the Wade Miley deal.
This year for De La Rosa, much better success against right-handed hitters than lefties. Lefties hitting over 300 against him.
1-2. Ichiro knocks it over to the left side. Jake Lamb is there, and he throws over to get him. So the challenge important certainly for the Diamondbacks. Miami's lineup is brought to you by JM Lexus. Ichiro leading it off. Martin Prado had a nice series in Philly. So did Christian Yelich. Justin Bour in the cleanup spot. And Danny Echeverria back in the 5 spot. Derek Dietrich is hot right now. So is JT Realmuto. Cole Gillespie as well. He's hitting 370. David Phelps slotted 9th. And here is Prado, a former Diamondback. And Prado takes ball 1.
You know, looking at that lineup, the frustrating thing for the Marlins is that there are a number of hitters that are hot right now, that are on little hitting streaks. As you pointed out, Prado being one of them. Had a really nice year a couple of years ago for the Diamondbacks. Played in 155 games, had 36 doubles. Played some third, played some second, and played some left.
Those are his career numbers with the Diamondbacks. And the pitch misses away, and De La Rosa goes to 3-0. De La Rosa knocked around last couple of starts. Gave up 4 runs in just 3 2/3 innings in New York against the Mets. It's a rare walk for Prado. He doesn't walk a lot. He walked yesterday, and he walks here with 1 out in the first. The defense for the Snakes brought to you by BMW.
Pretty good defense. They're third in the league in errors. David Peralta, A.J. Pollock, Ender Inciarte, Jake Lamb, Nick Ahmed, Chris Owens, Goldschmidt, and Wellington Castillo behind the plate.
Here's Yelich.
The perennial MVP candidate, Paul Goldschmidt.
Yelich 3 hits in Philly. He knocks that one into right field, a base hit. Prado stops at second. Inciarte has it quickly. And Miami has runners first and second. Just 1 out here in the first.
Rich Waltz, you've been with me long enough. Why do I like that swing right there, Christian Yelich?
Well, he's got the right side open, Hut. Lowers the barrel, tries to pull it through that gap. Whenever you try to do the right thing, good things happen.
Well, he also went up there with a plan. His plan was, you could tell by his approach, if I get a pitch I can pull, I'm going to give it a shot, try to pull one in that hole.
How close did I come?
That was good. That was good.
Thanks. Here's Justin Bour now. Great hitters park for a lot of reasons. As Bour takes outside. It's the desert. You got elevation. You've got a fast infield and outfield surface. And one of the best batter's eye hitting backgrounds in all of baseball. And Bour finds that hole. Right field. Prado to third. He'll stop there. Inciarte's throw is cut. Bour is safe. Just getting back with Owings darting right behind him.
There have been enough little mistakes over the last few games. The Marlins don't need to start things by making another. Justin Bour was not with the Marlins in that 4-game sweep in Miami against Arizona. So they're dealing with him for the first time. Off-speed pitch, good swing, but look out. Chris Owings, the second baseman, sneaking in behind. Good reactions by Bour.
Dan Jennings just came out to talk to the home plate umpire, Larry Vanover. It was not an argument, more like a discussion. And here is Echeverria. Echeverria in yesterday's ball game had 2 hits, including an RBI double. Infield's back for 2. Bags loaded, 1 out. Echeverria up the middle. Ahmed flips. Owings to first. And the Diamondbacks turn a double play, and the Marlins' first is over just like that. Scoreless, underway.
And it's time for tonight's Roof Report presented by APS. To ensure the comfort of our fans.
Is at the replay controls, and there is a discussion. Remember, Dan Jennings came out before the pitch to Echeverria. Echeverria hit into a double play. All 4 umpires met on the infield grass, and then 2 of them peeled out to talk to New York, and that discussion is going on right now as David Phelps is warming up. This is the last play.
You know, going after the first pitch for Echeverria, it's the 13th grounded into double play. Leads the ball club in that department. It's interesting, once again, a conversation with Marlins skipper Dan Jennings.
Mike Goff, bench coach. Vanover is still on the headsets, but Ron Kulpa is out at first base. We will, once we get a chance, get word. Jessica Blaylock is down there as well. Here's David Phelps. Phelps looking to even his record at 5-5. He's pitched well as a starter. ERA is under 4. First pitch, line into left. Ender Inciarte is aboard. So both teams have come out swinging it. The Diamondbacks, a team that's dropped 4 straight at 42 and 48. Jan Alexis brings you their starting lineup. Inciarte. A.J. Pollock just killed the Marlins in Miami. Paul Goldschmidt, the all-star first baseman. David Peralta's in left. Wellington Castillo. A lot of catchers for the Diamondbacks this year. Jake Lamb, good prospect at third. Chris Owings at second. Nick Ahmed at short. 2 very good fielders up the middle. De La Rosa's in the 9 spot. Here's Pollock, who was an all-star as well. In fact, played the last 3 innings of the all-star game in center field for the National League. And he deserves it. He's having a nice season.
Yeah, he is, and I think helped his cause in the series in Miami. Pollock was 6 for 16, hit a home run against the Marlins.
352 on base, 466 slugging. Pollock and Yasmani Tomas were the big bats and weapons that the Diamondbacks used in that 4-game sweep. Those were the first 4 games for Dan Jennings. Remember that series came right after Mike Redmond was let go. The surprise announcement that Jennings would manage the team. And the Diamondbacks came in and were aggressive. They ran, they hit, they moved runners, and they left town with 4 wins.
And remember, the first win was a gut-wrenching loss for the Marlins, 13-inning game. And there are the numbers. The Diamondbacks against the Marlins in that 4-game series clearly outpitched and out-hit.
And you see that Pollock had 2 of the big hits in Game 2 and Game 4. No surprise that Phelps has gone over to first, trying to keep Inciarte close. He's got 9 stolen bases. Diamondbacks, a team that can run, will run, and did run in Miami. There's Dave McKay, the first base coach, longtime coach for Tony La Russa, which isn't a surprise that he's here. Tony La Russa is the chief baseball officer, and Dave Stewart, former Oakland Athletic, is the general manager here. Just about everything new in the front office in terms of baseball, and the manager, Chip Hale.
Dave McKay, also a longtime Phoenix area resident, so it's a great fit for him.
And Pollock steps back in. Phelps with the count 3-1. Inciarte at first. He's running on the pitch. Bounced to short. Etched, flip. Got the out there. Nice turn by Prado. Got the out there. 6-4-3 on the double play.
I tell you, it's always a little bit of a concern when the runner's moving, but Etch does a good job in getting this quickly to Prado. And look at how Prado, almost from the back foot, moving away from the runner, is able to get the feed and then make the throw over to first base. In his 4 games now at second, Martin Prado's done a nice job.
Paul Goldschmidt pulls in 21 homers. He's driven in 72. Phelps throws a fastball. Jessica Blaylock's down below. Jess, what was the call to New York about?
Yeah, guys, the Marlins are having some issues with their video replay system in the visitor clubhouse. So the umpire was telling Dan Jennings they can't shut down the Diamondbacks from reviewing plays, but they are going to give the Marlins more time to review plays. So that's what that conversation was all about.
So the Marlins replay room is getting replays, or it's just slow in getting there? Any confirmation on that, or clarification, I guess?
No clarification on that yet. From what I understood, the video system is not down. It's just having some issues, so maybe it is a little bit slow slow, and that's why they're going to give the Marlins more time to review and see if they want to challenge plays.
Okay. In this modern day world, that seems fair. And Phelps loses Goldschmidt, whose on base percentage is a whopping .452.
Now, the Marlins defensively, yes, there have been some meltdowns at times, but still very solid. Yelich, Gillespie, and Ichiro in the outfield. Derek Dietrich gets the start at third. Echeverria and Martin Prado just turned a nice double play. Justin Bohr at first base and Real Muto behind the plate. Echeverria has gone 26 consecutive games without making an error.
Diamondbacks' Chris Owings is on a nice run like that as well. Their second baseman. These are two good defensive teams, though the Marlins did not play well defensively in Philly. David Peralta, 27-year-old Venezuelan. And Phelps right now falls behind 2-0.
They have a matchup of two teams that are struggling. The Marlins getting swept in Philadelphia, and not a good ratio there of balls to strikes. It's amazing with that ratio that Phelps has gotten 2 outs with the double play. And the Diamondbacks have lost 6 in a row.
And that was just when Arizona finally scratched and clawed and got themselves back to 500 at 42 and 42. And now 6 under. Goldschmidt running, huge jump, and he swipes second base.
Well, after all the attention that was paid to Inciarte after his base hit, no attention to Goldschmidt. Look at this jump. Johnny Bench wasn't going to throw him out.
Paul Goldschmidt is on pace to be a 30-30 guy.
Got 17 stolen bases.
And 21 homers. Peralta, a dangerous bat. He's slugging over 500 at 506. 17 doubles, 7 triples, 9 homers.
This is a good triples ballpark.
Yes, it is. 413 in either gap. 407 to straightaway. An enormous center field wall. Got him. David Phelps strikes out an angry David Peralta, who is still at home plate with Larry Vanover, and that's why he's angry. A break for the Fish in a scoreless game. A little more animated between Larry Vanover, Dan Jennings, Mike Goff, bench coach for the Marlins, and Vanover has gone over to the headsets to talk to New York as well. Chip Hale sitting comfortably in the Diamondbacks. The story here is that the Marlins replay system in the clubhouse is having some issues. I believe what the Marlins have done is ask Larry Vanover, A, to make sure New York knows that, and B, how do you make it equal for both sides?
Well, I think the best thing that they're trying to do anyway, the umpiring crew, you can't shut down and give the Diamondbacks issues on their replay system. So the best avenue to travel is to, okay, we'll give you a little extra time if needed.
Here's Derek Dietrich with JT Realmuto and Cole Gillespie against Ruby De La Rosa. Dietrich is having a nice run up with the fish and hitting well just about everywhere that Dan Jennings uses him. I think significantly as a pinch hitter, he's 3 for 4 in his last 4 pinch hit appearances, and as a starter he's hit. Dietrich rolls it out to Chris Owings for the first out of the second. Marlins are on social media, and you can get there as well. Go to marlins.com/connect. Full roster of Marlin players on Twitter, official Marlin accounts on Instagram. Share your Marlin memories all season long. One thought: if the Marlins replay system goes down completely, they could always move Pat Shine into the Diamondbacks clubhouse, and the 2 replay guys could use the same system, couldn't they? Because only one team is challenging at a time. I don't think it's ever happened, but I mean, you're thinking about
solutions. That is a thought.
Yeah.
Think they'd get along?
Well, you know what? We're gonna call New York and find out. That would be interesting.
I think Pat Shine would get along.
Without question. JT Realmuto now. Realmuto, if you go back to the start of June, hitting right at .299 with some damage. 7 doubles, 3 homers. And the Marlins are hopeful that what they've seen over this month and a half is what they're going to have for a long time.
Yeah, that period is almost a 30-game stretch for JT Realmuto. Homered in Philadelphia. Had a good series there.
Homered and doubled. 2-2. Jammed, popped up. Castillo in pursuit.
Rich, I would have to think that somewhere in the last 2 years there's been a situation where one replay system has had some issues. I'd have to think they've dealt with this before.
I would expect that you're right, but it looks like for the discussions that we've seen, as you see the brain trust, Bob Gebhard in there, Tony La Russa on the left, on the far right Dave Stewart. Bouncer out to short. Ahmed gets the out. In college and professional football, when the phones from the coach's box down to the sideline go out on one team, until it's fixed, the officials will turn off the headphones to the other team to make it even.
See, I like that solution better than sending one replay guy over to the other guys.
It really hasn't happened that much lately because the technology has gotten so good and so dependable. Cole Gillespie now. Gillespie takes outside from De La Rosa. Gillespie with the bat, a nice series in Philly. 5 hits, a couple doubles, drove in 2. He's making the most out of his stay here with the Fish. Marlins are hopeful that Marcell Ozuna continues to swing the bat the way he's swinging it right now. The reports on Ozuna are very positive coming out of AAA New Orleans.
I think it's kind of a catch-22. Ozuna's done a really nice job in the 9 games he's played. He's hit over 350. He's hit a couple of home runs. And I think it's good for him that he gets things back together. He may have been here sooner had Gillespie not been playing the way he's played.
foul back to the screen.
But all of a sudden, Cole Gillespie has settled in. He got a 5-game hitting streak. He's hitting .370. But I also think if things continue on a positive note for Ozuna, we'll see him soon.
Full count. Phelps is on deck. Gillespie in the 8th spot. Both teams had opportunities in the first. Both pitchers used double plays to get themselves out of trouble. Well, that one really sunk. And down goes Gillespie. 1, 2, 3 go the Fish in the second. Scoreless in Arizona. Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Kaiser University. For more information, go to kaiser.edu. And by AutoNation. Visit us online at AutoNation.com. In Arizona, Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Jessica Blaylock. Scoreless game. Great scenery. Bottom of the second. If you've been with us, you know that the Marlins and the umpires have had a couple of discussions about the replay system, and we've been able to glean a little more information. John Sulzer, our critically acclaimed producer, was able to get on the phone and talk to New York. The issue is a phone issue. The phone from the dugout into the replay room. The technology in the room is working fine. So the stadium folks are working on the Marlins phone, trying to open the lines of communication from dugout into clubhouse between Pat Shine, the replay coach, and the Marlins bench. Here's David Phelps, first pitch fastball. And one more note, John, being the resourceful producer that he is, ran the scenario by them, New York. What happens if one replay system goes down? What's the procedure? It's Wellington Castillo swings and hits a little tapper out in front of the mound. Phelps gets it and throws to first. And an interesting answer came back from New York, and that is nothing happens. The team that loses their technology has to challenge from just eyesight until that technology is back up, because the, I guess, rationale is they don't want a team to fake like their like their technology.
You mean somebody would do that
and buy time? So you're at the mercy of the technology. If it goes down, you have to challenge by not only what you see on the bench, but what your players see out on the field.
So the bottom line here tonight, it's not a technology replay problem. It's more of a in-house phone problem back to the replay room.
Baseball operations is working on it. Thank you for your patience.
See, but our producer, John Sulzer, unlike you and I, has the MLB number on speed dial. He can get them anytime he wants.
Yeah, and by the way, tip of the cap to the folks in New York for giving us the explanation in such a short time so that we could get the info out to you, and we'll keep an eye on the situation, see if a play happens and the Marlins actually do have communication. Otherwise, they probably get their fastest pitcher and say, run into the clubhouse real quick. Breaking ball, chopper, and a throw to first, and Phelps is there to get to the bag. By the way, just this thought, at the start of the season, it was announced that baseball would allow wireless communication in each dugout, that they were moving towards that. But it has not happened yet.
But that got Pablo Sandoval in trouble.
Yes. For Pablo Sandoval, it got him suspended by his team. Well, Jake Lamb and Wellington Castillo are down. Here's Chris Owings.
It looks like David Phelps has settled in a little better. Not a real good balls to strike ratio in that first inning. He's had a couple of games in his career against Arizona, but this is the first time he's ever pitched here in this ballpark.
Talk about settling in. The job that Dan Herron did yesterday was just incredible. He gave up 5 runs in the second, stifling heat, high humidity, and he hung in there and gave the Marlins 6 innings and kept it at 5 runs while Cole Hamels wilted. Hamels got just 3 innings, and that was it. He was done. Not Herron. He delivered the game into the 7th at 5-5.
Herron's job applauded by his pitching coach. You and I talking to Chuck Hernandez. He said, yeah, it would have been nicer to have a 5-6 run lead. But he said watching what Herron did yesterday was almost as good as watching him throw 7 shutout innings because of what he did for the ball club.
Owings takes it inside fastball and pops it out into center field. Gillespie settles under it, makes the catch. A nice settle down inning for David Phelps in a scoreless duel in a desert. In Arizona, Ruby De La Rosa has a name that Michael Buffer should announce before he pitches. What's your scouting report?
Well, let's see what we have. We've seen him go a little away from this at times, but he has that good fastball. You saw the one at the bottom, too many strikes. Now, he was a little wild early, but sometimes he does get in trouble by throwing too many strikes.
Phelps swings and fouls it back. Count 1-1. Ichiro and Martin Prado will follow in the third. Marlins had him loaded with 1 out in the first, but Adeiny Echeverria on the first pitch bounced into a 6-4-3 double play.
Interesting for De La Rosa. He's 4-1 at home, 2-4 on the road, but his ERA about the same, over 5, a little over 5. And he has allowed 21 home runs this year.
This is a tough ballpark to keep it in the ballpark. You see the ERA at home, De La Rosa over 5. Look at those ballparks: Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Arizona. No surprise. Hard shot. Good shortstop. Ahmed throws him out. Lexus of Pembroke Pines, the Marlins on the road. 2 more here in Arizona. And on Thursday night, they open up a 4-game series, do the Fish in San Diego. Now, Thursday night's game is not on television, one of the very few that's not. We'll have the next 3 from San Diego and then home for Washington and the Padres. Here's Ichiro.
Well, that Thursday, it'll just allow you and I to load up on fish tacos.
Fastball sinks low. Ichiro involved in an interesting play in the first. The 1-1 pitch came up and in and appeared to hit him, but when we looked at it, it looked like it hit the bat, and the Diamondbacks challenged. You can challenge whether it's a hit batter or not. You can't challenge whether it's a foul tip or not. And the Diamondbacks, in one of the earliest challenges you'll see on the 3rd pitch of the game, won that challenge. Ichiro came back and bounced out.
You know, to show you what an absolute pro Ichiro is, during that 0 for 29, and by the way, since that time he's hit over 400, but during that time I don't think you and I could tell he was 0 for 29 or 15 for 29.
And it was a long run, because if you think about it, 0 for 29 for most guys, that's a week worth of at-bats. But for Ichiro, who wasn't playing every day, getting a pinch hit here, a couple at-bats there, it was a long stretch. And he dives back in.
Ichiro tied with Christian Yelich for 2nd on the ball club in stolen bases. And look at that, career-wise, 495 steals, so he's closing in on 500. He's 4 hits away from 2,900 hits.
Wellington Castillo 0 for 6 as a Diamondback. He's been a Cub and a Mariner this year as well. It's out. De La Rosa calling his catcher. Castillo out to the mound.
Yeah, not too many players traveled to 3 different teams in 1 year, but Castillo has.
Well, the Diamondbacks catching situation has been such a fluid situation that they've had trouble getting guys in here. In fact, one of the catchers that they've had, Jared Saltalamacchia, the former Marlin, is on the disabled list. He injured his neck while swinging a bat. Prado, who walked back in the first.
And it's interesting because for a few years they had the staple of Montero behind the plate.
Well, they sent Montero to the Cubs, and they ended up with the Cubs catcher Castillo in a roundabout way.
In a roundabout way.
Castillo ended up here in the Mark Trumbo trade. The Diamondbacks also picked up 3 prospects from Seattle in the deal, as the Mariners are trying everything they can to get some offense up in Seattle. Mike Hartke, pitching coach, along with Chip Hale. Strike at the knees. That was right at the knees. The Marlins hit and ran with success in Philly. In fact, Prado was one of those that drilled the ball to right with a runner on the move. Little tapper, third base side. Lamb bare hands and gets the out.
Pretty good play by Jake Lamb, young third baseman. Took his time after the bare hand pick and then made a strong throw over to Goldschmidt.
Lamb out of the University of Washington, a Seattle kid. And one of the top prospects for the Diamondbacks. Was on the disabled list when the Marlins and the Diamondbacks met up in Miami. 6th round pick back in 2012. Yelich now singled to right back in the first. Good speed with Ichiro at second.
Well, we talked earlier as to how left-handers have hit De La Rosa better. And the 2 base hits for the Marlins tonight from left-handers, Christian Yelich and Justin Bour.
It's a scoreless ball game, but neither pitcher was sharp from the get-go. You see De La Rosa's split. It's 50-50. Remember, David Phelps had trouble in the first inning, got it together in the second. (2-0). Yelich had a big swing on a changeup.
You talked about that the ugly game. They're the career numbers. Only 4 games for Christian in Arizona. Talked about the ugly game for De La Rosa last time out. Gave up 3 home runs. 2 of those were to Kirk Neuenhuis. That was a game he hit 3. And the other one was to Daniel Murphy.
Yelich off of Goldschmidt's glove, picked up and out with De La Rosa hustling to first. The Diamondbacks' good defense gets them out of trouble in the third.
Dan Jennings was named the manager of the Marlins in the first ball club that he managed against, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Here is DJ on the most important lesson that he has learned since that time.
You have to be willing to learn every day, and you have to be willing, more importantly, to adjust every day. You're dealing with 25 personalities. Sometimes they're not going to be at 100%. There's things that, that only you know about them or you're inside your clubhouse. And so it's truly an adjustment, day-to-day adjustment to put these guys in the best possible positions where they can have success.
And a learning experience again today, guys. We know that DJ is currently dealing with those communication issues with his video replay room.
All right, thank you, Jessica. Nick Ahmed for the Diamondbacks. Ruby De La Rosa and then Ender Inciarte, 8-9-1 against David Phelps in the third. Ahmed drives it right center field, hits it pretty well. Long run for Gillespie, won't get there. It rolls to the wall. Tommy talked about what a great triples park this is, and a leadoff triple for Nick Ahmed.
Boy, and a stand-up triple as you see it. Yeah, Nick Ahmed, once he found that gap in right center with his speed, the ball just continued to slice away from Cole Gillespie in center field. So he didn't have a chance. Ichiro couldn't get to it. So a stand-up triple for Nick Ahmed.
Miami will bring their infield in. You've got the pitcher, De La Rosa, up.
Normally in this case, because there's nobody out, you're not going to squeeze because you're going to, hopefully if you're the Diamondbacks, De La Rosa puts the ball in play. If not, you're back to the top of the order.
But the Marlins, especially with the pitcher up, trying to choke off the run. A ball and a strike. Outfield very shallow and towards right center as well. And this is not an easy outfield to play shallow on because you've got the big distance behind you and a very fast outfield grass for balls to scoot by you. Now Phelps looking for a strikeout with count 1-2. Got it. High fastball. Threw it by him. And there's one out. You can still take advantage of prorated season ticket plans. Got the Red Sox, the Mets, and the Nationals all coming in the second half. All the benefits of becoming a Marlins Fish family member as well. Go to marlins.com/2015 tickets. Call 1-877-MARLINS.
Rich, you called it. There are times that a pitcher thinks about getting a strikeout. And that's exactly what David Phelps was thinking with De La Rosa up there. You know what? He made a good pitch, got him to chase a fastball.
Now, Inciarte is a little different now. He's a contact guy, singled back in the first. Fastball in, misses. But the Fish are still going to keep the infield in. Pitch misses in. Now the infield grass is fast as well. One of the things the Diamondbacks have done, you see that area on the infield dirt right in front of the plate, it's soft. They really have tried to soften that up, maybe to equalize that fast infield surface.
This is one of those managerial decisions. Sometimes early in a game like this, you'd have the infield back. Sometimes you'd have them in.
Pitches in. And it's 3-0. And both pitchers have been 50-50. It's amazing that this game is scoreless.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Echeverria has it, spins, and holds the runner at third. And you could see how quickly that ball was upon him. There's two outs.
That time the decision paid off. Good decision to have the infield in. Talked about Echeverria, third in the National League in fielding percentage. He picks it. He checks the runner. and throws out Inciarte.
Now Pollock. He bounced into a double play back in the first. Pollock runs up to bunt. The throw to third. Safe at third. And the Marlins replay system will be tested now. We'll keep an eye and see if the phone is working. Derek Dietrich with the tag. He motioned into the dugout. And the word comes that he is safe.
Well, you can see Ahmed puts the brakes on and gets the hand on the bag. Tag was applied up on the wrist of the forearm. Got back just in time.
Yeah, it looked like he was just in. It was a ball that counts 1-0.
He was trying to get a jump because he saw Pollock bluff bunt, show bunt at the plate.
One thing we learned from that sequence, the phone's working. Low, Phelps stares in and a bit of a puzzle.
We talked about this matchup in Miami. A couple of Notre Dame guys going at each other.
That's right. Phelps, the 14th round pick of the Yankees in 08 out of Notre Dame.
And I think they were, for a year, they were teammates.
Pollock was the 17th overall in 09. Good, sharp breaking ball. And it's 2-1.
David Phelps, 28 years old. Pollock, 27. Good curveball. You're going to see it. Boy, bottom falls out of it, and he gets Pollock to chase it.
And Phelps steps off. The leadoff triple by Nick Ahmed. A strike, and it's 2-2. Two and two. And that chopper goes over Ahmed's head, and it's a foul ball. Yeah, 6 in a row the Diamondbacks have lost. Of course, the Marlins swept in Philly. And the Phillies, by the way, stayed hot as they took care of Tampa Bay 5-3. Beat them tonight.
And the Marlins have also lost 7 consecutive road games.
Yeah, that has been a disturbing trend. 2-2. It's a ball. Phelps was walking.
It looked like a little flinch, too, from Larry Vanover, the home plate umpire.
And let's take a look. Looks like it's just out.
He got a call on Peralta in the first inning.
Three twos out, and he lost them. So you go from Pollock to Goldschmidt.
I guess you could say it's an interesting pitch choice, given the fact that Goldschmidt, who has an on-base percentage of over 400 and a slugging percentage over 600, is coming up.
Well, Goldschmidt walked back in the first. Got the corners with 2 outs. And yes, Pollock a threat to run. 19 stolen bases. He's been caught just 6 times. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Goldschmidt, one of the very best. Buster Posey has been a holy terror in the West and throughout the National League as well.
Yeah, we saw Goldschmidt pick up his 17th stolen base. Pollock has 19. It's a catch-22, though. You don't want to focus too much on Pollock and they make a mistake to Goldschmidt.
If you're Arizona, do you want Pollock running, or do you want him stationary and let Goldschmidt get a clean at bat?
He could probably keep him stationary, maybe run later in the count.
A strike.
And without question, one of the reasons Goldschmidt is having such a great year is Pollock hitting in front of him. So much we talk about who hits behind a hitter, but Pollock hitting over 300, an all-star, hitting in front of Goldschmidt.
Pollock chased back. Four-pitch walk in the first. That's the first strike that Goldschmidt has seen tonight. And he got a fastball up and in and by him. Goldschmidt really an interesting guy, an 8th-round draft pick out of Texas State, a Houston area guy. Count full now, and that means Pollock will run. Ahmed's at third. Phelps going to the rosin bag. Pitch number 50 is a big one early in this ball game here in Arizona.
Yeah, Goldschmidt on the year, 77 strikeouts, 70 walks.
Runner goes. Fastball in. And they're loaded now. You think about that pitch to Inciarte, which was by the narrowest of margins just out. It ran the count to 3-2. He would walk, or excuse me, to Pollock. He would end up walking Pollock. That brought up Goldschmidt. Now he walks Goldschmidt. And here is Peralta, who struck out back in the first.
Nice visit from Martin Prado.
Line to left, a base hit. Yelich has it. Round third, runner coming home. That's Pollock. The throw is deflected. Dietrich tried to cut it off. It rolls towards the dugout. 2 runs are going to score. And David Peralta makes it 2-0.
Been a lot of opportunities for both clubs. Peralta gets the biggest hit of the night so far. Big 2-out base hit. What Dietrich was trying to do, he was trying to run toward that ball because he saw the runner headed to third. Here comes the throw by Yelich. It's a good throw because you can cut it off. Here comes Dietrich, and he almost overruns it, and the ball gets by him. The runners move up.
That's Echeverria's bag.
Echeverria a little late. You can see from that shot and getting over to cover third, but Dietrich trying to cut that ball off. And unfortunately, Dietrich's going to be charged with the error.
And the error allows the runner from first to go to second. So a 2-run single. Here's Wellington Castillo. And the inability to throw strikes has bitten Phelps here in the third. Breaking ball for a strike. And again, he's right at 50%. 26 balls, 26 strikes. That's a tough way to make a living in the big leagues, especially in this ballpark.
Only way you can get by with it up here is if you throw 98 miles an hour. But on the other hand, the Marlins have chances because De La Rosa is in the same boat.
Bouncer to short. Echeverria on to first in time. Inning over. Diamondbacks strike first and lead it 2-0. The anchors in that rotation. The Diamondbacks were world champions last year. Disastrous season, 98 losses. Much improved this year under Chip Hale.
Well, let's see, where are those three now? Randy Johnson headed to the Hall of Fame this year. Curt Schilling doing some national TV, and Bob Brenly doing the Arizona Diamondbacks television.
Justin Bour fouls it back.
Actually, I thought I heard this weekend is Randy Johnson bobblehead.
Do they still do the Legends race here? So we'll see Randy Johnson later.
We'll
tonight.
see him later, yeah.
That one out to center. A.J. Pollock runs it down, and Justin Bour is out. Randy Johnson is a very accomplished photographer.
Yes, he is.
In fact, last I saw, he was on tour. I don't know if it was Pearl Jam or someone, and he was
the guys
Rush.
from Montreal. Rush.
Thank you. And he was the official tour photographer for Rush.
Geddy Lee, good friends with Geddy Lee. By the way, does that bobblehead have the nice mullet going? It's got to.
And a Mr. Snappy attachment, which is what they call this slider. To right, that is well hit. Inciarte is there. He makes the catch. In-game box score for the Marlins. Yelich and Bour with hits. De La Rosa, as Tommy described, has not had great control. He's walked 2. In fact, the 2 guys he's walked, Ichiro and Martin Prado are not easy to walk. But the Marlins haven't been able to cash in on any of it. Here's Dietrich with 2 outs.
Now, we talked about it earlier. De La Rosa signed by the Dodgers as an 18-year-old out of the Dominican. He was the Dodgers minor league pitcher of the year back in 2010.
And the amazing thing was 4 years earlier, he had never played baseball. He did not play baseball in the Dominican. He actually played a variation of cricket. And he had such a great arm that he tried out for baseball and all of a sudden got signed and ended up, as you noted, a very good pitcher in the Dodgers organization.
I think Devon White was a good cricket player growing up. But of course, if you grow up in the Dominican, then you follow baseball, and it was for De La Rosa his favorite pitchers, Bartolo Colon and Pedro Martinez.
Pitches in, Dietrich walks, and it was Pedro who in 2014 was his personal tutor when he was with the Red Sox and in spring training with the Red Sox. Mike Harkey a visit to the mound. Marlins Live tomorrow is brought to you by your South Florida Honda dealers. Emails and tweets, and Matt Latos against Jeremy Hellickson. Craig Minervini and Carl Pavano will be on patrol. It all starts at 9. First pitch at 9:40. Do these games count officially as late night with the fish?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And also our emails and tweets usually have a little different flavor on late night with the fish.
Coming off Philly, that may be true.
We'll do our best.
We will. We always do. Dietrich, a 2-out walk. Here's Real Muto. The count 1-0. So what a treat for De La Rosa to work with the godfather of Dominican right-handers, Pedro Martinez.
It was kind of a family thing for De La Rosa. His grandmother was Pedro's nanny.
Two and 0. There's the strike. As Vinny would say, it's interesting to note.
Yes, it is.
2 down. Top 4. Ruby De La Rosa has fallen behind JT Real Muto. And that fastball misses out. Real Muto, who homered this weekend in Philly, also homered in Miami against De La Rosa.
Boy, stayed back on that breaking ball nicely, drove it not quite into the Clevelander, but into the Arizona bullpen.
Nine innings, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts. Didn't walk anybody. That was a 13-inning win by the Diamondbacks, 3-2. Foul back. Look out, Hutt.
That was a whole different ball game for De La Rosa, the way he threw the ball that night compared to tonight.
That ball glancing just above us. Looks like a scoreboard above us.
Notice I didn't charge it.
You were in full retreat. 3-2. In the dirt, Real Muto walks. The pitch count sits at 59. 4 walks tonight for De La Rosa, most in a game this season.
Going to have to revise the scouting report we put together on De La Rosa, talking about the fact that sometimes he throws too many strikes, but that's not been the case tonight.
Well, he threw strikes to Cole Gillespie in the second. That's the only strikeout of the night for De La Rosa. Gillespie has shown a penchant for big hits since he's been up. See what he's done with runners in scoring position. Dietrich at second, Real Muto at first.
And really, aside from the one misplay in Philadelphia, Gillespie's done a very solid job in the outfield as well.
Brewers drafted him out of Oregon State after winning a national championship. A former Diamondback for a short spell, a Giant, a Cub, a Mariner, and now a Marlin.
Of all the opportunities, and that there have been few and not for a length of time, this has been the best that Cole Gillespie's performed with any of those clubs.
Count even to 2-2. Not a full schedule in baseball tonight. Some games out on the West Coast with us. Boston and the Angels playing a doubleheader after a rare rainout in Anaheim last night. Padres got rain last night as well.
It's incredible. First time for the Angels, a rainout in Anaheim since 1995.
Angels won the first game 11-1, beating Boston. And a 1-0 lead over Boston in the third in the second game.
Padres, first time they've been rained out at Petco since '06. They'd gone over 800 games at home. But the forecast for the weekend, Rich, when we're there, beautiful. Mid-70s, scattered clouds.
Gillespie's roller up the middle. Ahmed to first in time. And the Marlins leave 2. Head to the bottom of the fourth. Arizona 2-0. dealers today. And by 5 Hour Energy Shots. Have you tried great tasting 5 Hour Energy lately? In Arizona, 2-0. Diamondbacks on top. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Well, Rich, Tony La Russa spent 16 years as a manager for the Cardinals. Now he's in his second season as an executive for the Diamondbacks, and his expectations for Arizona, they are just as high as when he was in St. Louis, despite the fact that the Diamondbacks are coming off of a season in which they lost 98 games. La Russa says that anything less than 500 this year would be a disappointment. And you guys mentioned the Diamondbacks record earlier. They currently sit at 42 and 48, but there is plenty of baseball left to be played, so La Russa could possibly still get that wish.
Well, the Chip Hale is in a good spot, don't you think? Thank you, Jessica. Because he's here as a first-year manager, and if he has any questions, he just walks upstairs and knocks on the door, and Tony La Russa says, come on in, let's talk.
Yeah, that can be good, that could be bad at times.
Fastball is a strike. Hale actually grew up in the East Bay, the San Francisco Bay Area, and was well aware of the success that La Russa was having as the Oakland Athletics skipper, leading them to 3 World Series, 1 World Series championship. Hale would go on to play for a national champion at Arizona. Jerry Kindle, the great coach for the Wildcats.
A lot of minor league experience for Hale. He managed 6 years in the Diamondbacks organization. He's a big league coach for 8 seasons with Oakland and the Mets.
Yeah, bench coach in both places. Jake Lamb, young third baseman out of Washington. Right back up the box into center field. Lamb, a 1-out single, or excuse me, a leadoff single near the 4th. Saturday, Major League Baseball doubleheader starts with the Athletics and the Giants. Then at 7 Eastern, Braves and Cardinals. A game you can only see on Fox Sports 1. Coverage begins 4 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. And it streams live on Fox Sports Go. Chris Owings. Owings to center, high and deep. Gillespie back. Start of the track, makes the catch. Lamb retreats to first. Box score for the Diamondbacks. Control has been an issue for David Phelps. He's walked 3. He's 60 pitches in. And here is Ahmed, who started that 2-run third with a triple to right center. Chase Field is of the retractable roof ballparks, a unique design. It's big in here. And I think if the Diamondbacks had to design it again, they might take out some seats. But the roof joins right in the middle, and it rolls from side to side. They actually had some rain issues here last series, with rain coming in on one of those desert monsoon type rainstorms that was coming through the roof. All retractable roofs have had that issue.
Tell you another thing they had issues with early on, the first few years, that was with the grass. Growing the grass and getting the right mix. And they're still having issues.
They do have some sun lamps in here. The Marlins have utilized that. But in these parts, I can't imagine playing Major League Baseball outdoors, having worked in the Pacific Coast League when there was a team here in Phoenix.
Oh yeah, having played in the Pacific Coast League games in the old, what was it, Phoenix Municipal Stadium?
Yes. There were nights where you would start a ball game and it would be 106, 107 at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. That one fouled back. This was the other night. This was rain coming through that seam. Right on the rubber.
Wanted to make the Giants feel that they were at home.
We saw it at Marlins Park. We saw it in Milwaukee. I've seen it in Seattle. It's happened in Houston. You saw it in Toronto.
Yes. Toronto, the last place that was covered was home plate. I always remember that, sitting there watching the roof close at Sky Dome then, and right there at home plate, all the water was coming down. It looked like a waterfall. And I also remember you brought back, when we were talking about Phoenix, one of the greatest managerial conflicts and ejections between Tommy Lasorda and Charlie Fox.
Wow.
The old Giants manager.
Two legends. Now, conflict, were they going at
each other? They both got ejected. I think Lasorda jumped into the stands after somebody.
And this was obviously a Dodger-Giant rivalry.
Phoenix was affiliated with the Giants.
To right, Ichiro back. Tagging at first is Lamb, but Ichiro throws a strike to second.
Fundamentally, just write down everything Ichiro does.
Ichiro fans out west. He hasn't played a lot of games here. He said he was here a couple times with the Mariners. He said great place to hit, not a great place to play right field. It's kind of an odd configuration there in right with that little corner up against the Marlins bullpen.
Was it Stanton a few years ago with a great grab up against that bullpen fence and knocked Nunez off his chair?
That's right. That was a great moment. Little tapper to third. Dietrich takes care of De La Rosa. This game is headed to the fifth. It's 2-0. Late Night with the Fish is back. Welcome to Phoenix, Arizona. That's a big phone. Cats and dogs living together. And so far, it's been Diamondbacks up 2-0. Geico presents this Major League Moments. Does not involve the pool in right field because in 1965 this place didn't exist. But Mel Stottlemyre Sr., whose son is the bullpen coach for the Diamondbacks, by the way, hit a 5th-inning grand slam in a complete game win at Yankee Stadium. He could do it all, and he was a really good pitching coach too.
Saw his other son, Todd Stottlemyre, throw a lot of good games when he was a member of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Phelps is up. De La Rosa pounds him in with a fastball, and the count is 1-1.
David Phelps has had some pretty good swings tonight. Hit a sharp ground ball to the backhand of the shortstop Nick Ahmed. Made a good play.
That has been De La Rosa's best pitch, right? The ground ball. Marlins have hit a ton of them, including their base hits. Yelich and Bohr's hits through that right side. You got a double play from Echeverria to end the first. Phelps lifts this one, and it is out of play.
Yeah, 9 ground ball outs induced by De La Rosa.
You know, I mean, if you're going to take your shirt off and paint stuff on your chest, this is the place to do it, right? I mean, in the air-conditioned controlled climate, not too hot, not too cold. Phelps has got a base hit.
Told you he had a good approach tonight.
Inciarte cuts it off. And a leadoff single here in the 5th.
First hit by a right-hander. Marlins only have 3 hits, but the other 2, Yelich and Bohr.
Now top of the order, Ichiro, Prado, Yelich. The Braves beat the Dodgers.
That's because the Dodgers can't pitch Kershaw and Greinke every night.
No. Co-NL Players of the Week.
What's Zach Greinke on that roll? 43 2/3 scoreless innings.
Ichiro, a hot smash. Ahmed, spinorama, and he gets the out at first. A nifty 4-6-3 double play. Ichiro hit it hard, but another double play wipes out an opportunity. There's 2 outs.
Again, Ichiro with the right approach. He's trying to pull that ball with the runner at first. He pulls it sharply, unfortunately not enough, and the Diamondbacks turn their second double play tonight. Nothing you can do about that. He hit that ball hard.
Here is Prado. By the way, Nick Markakis hit his first home run for the Braves. Also doubled, drove in 2.
So almost 350 at bats. His first home run.
And a name we haven't talked a lot about, Matt Whistler, whom the Braves got as one of the many prospects back from the San Diego Padres. He's now 4-1 with the win.
And I think the other unique name in that game, the starting pitcher for the Dodgers, Brandon Beachy.
The long road back from his second Tommy John surgery.
I think it's his second start since that second Tommy John surgery.
It comes against his old ball club. Here it's 2-0. Prado takes a strike. 2-1. 2-2. Ahmed gets the out. Another ground ball out. De La Rosa is through 5, halfway through. Nobody's in the pool. Get in there. Of the fish. Time now to tweet your strongest fan photo. Hashtag FL Data Strong Fan. And you just might see yourself in an upcoming telecast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Have you read the fine print on that one?
I have not. I have to admit, I don't read the fine print on most stuff.
I just started to. I think it says something along the lines that Rich and Tommy want to use that on their own tablets and devices. You're out of luck. Something like that. Inciarte, top of the order. With A.J. Pollock and Paul Goldschmidt following for the Snakes.
You and I were talking earlier. You brought up the great point of the job that Dan Herron did yesterday. Giving up early runs in the heat in Philadelphia. The other thing that it did, it made guys like Phelps, Jose Fernandez, they took note, certainly, of what Dan Herron did.
Sure, Chuck Hernandez turned to those guys, and Tom Kohler as well. Matt Latos, and said, that's old school right there. Oh, the bobblehead's coming up. Randy Johnson is here.
See, they don't allow him in the camera well because then nobody else can take pictures.
That's right.
He talked about how he's a fabulous photographer. That's been probably more than a hobby for him now.
And it's been lifelong.
Yeah.
He was, as a player in Seattle, very accomplished photographer there, and then down here in Arizona, certainly.
I remember, Rich, seeing Randy Johnson on the back fields in West Palm Beach when the Expos shared a spring training facility with the Atlanta Braves, and he came up with the Expos. I remember seeing him pitch and do his drills out on the back fields where the Expos trained.
I remember seeing him from 60 feet 6 inches in summer league.
That's right.
In high school, and as a diminutive middle infielder, and he was pitched in Northern California. He was an East Bay guy, I believe Livermore.
Have you ever, I mean, not that he would maybe remember the at-bat, but have you ever brought up that situation and story to him?
No. I think he walked me twice. And I don't know if I saw the
But
ball.
he would appreciate you being an East Bay kid.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. He was an outstanding basketball player as well. In fact,
No kidding.
He went to USC. He went to USC to play both basketball and baseball. 2-0 Arizona on top. And a reminder, Marlins Park offers a variety of suites located behind home plate along the first baseline. They can be rented for just one game. Suites accommodate groups from 60 to 70 guests and offers upscale contemporary furnishings. Feature great food and beverage options. 1-877 Marlins. Go to marlins.com/groups. Sorry.
It's a little booth levity.
It is. Just between us kids. Goldschmidt takes a strike.
This is a perfect example and an effort that David Phelps is showing. Struggling early on, a lot of pitches. Ball strike ratio wasn't very good. But he's managed to pitch out of some situations. The one big base hit by David Peralta drove in 2 runs.
That was after a triple and a pair of walks.
And really the difference in this game, because both starters have had those situations. The Diamondbacks have gotten that one big hit, and the Marlins haven't.
Goldschmidt rips it to right.
If Paul Goldschmidt played in New York or played on a perennial winning team, he'd be looked at so differently than he is now. This guy's a great player.
How would Giancarlo Stanton be looked at?
But I think even Stanton
transcends or
gets a little more national attention than a guy like Goldschmidt. And remember, he stole a base back in the first inning.
Speaking of a guy that gets a lot of attention, Matt Harvey was on the mound for the Mets, and the Nationals knocked him around after getting a good dose of Kershaw and Greinke. The Nationals 7-2 beat the Mets.
Early runs Matt Harvey allowed, but then he settled down and ended up going 7 innings, even though he gave up the 5 runs in the first 3 innings.
The pride of Hialeah, Gio Gonzalez, gets the win. He's 7-4. Mets are 3 over. Nationals are 9 over. I think everybody's waiting to see if the Mets are willing and able to deal for a bat.
And where will Cole Hamels go?
You wonder, having watched Hamels yesterday in his previous outing, a 9-run nightmare against the Giants, if that pressure is starting to get to him and affect him a bit with the trading deadline coming up. He's still owed a lot of money. I think it's close to $80 million over the next 3 years, with a 4th year that could vest if he's healthy for those 3 seasons.
It'll be interesting as we approach the July 31st trading deadline. And you're right about the Mets. I mean, coming into play today, 2 games out. Of course, with them losing to Washington, 3 games out now. But can they pull the trigger on one of their young starters, or maybe a Jonathan Neese, somebody like that? Might not bring back as much as one of the young starters.
To right, off the bat of Peralta, back goes Ichiro, and he makes the catch on the track. David Phelps escapes the 5th. 2-0. Christian Yelich will lead it off in the 6th. Randy Johnson, they just had the Legends race, and guess who he's taking a picture of? It's a selfie of himself. The Legends. You've got Gonzo, the big unit, Matt Williams, who's managing the Diamondbacks, and Mark Grace, who still has not won a race. Yelich with a bunt, and he's out by a step. Wellington Castillo got out there to throw out Yelich. The Marlins here in the 6th, down 2-0.
Talk about Randy Johnson going into the Hall of Fame Sunday, July 26th. What a class. Greg Biggio, Pedro Martinez, and John Smoltz.
Justin Bour is singled and flied out. De La Rosa misses away. Control has been an issue. Pair of walks in the 4th. A walk in the 3rd and in the 1st. But for the most part, he's kept the ball on the ground, and it has served him well. A double play in the 5th. A double play in the 1st.
And if you count those as 2 outs on the ground, 13 ground ball outs.
That's amazing. His ball strike ratio is still almost 50-50. 38-42. And yet here he is throwing a 3-hit shutout in the 6th. And as you pointed out, usually if you're able to do that, you throw 97, 98.
Well, we talked about the 9 innings, the no decision in Miami. 9 innings, 6 hits, just 2 runs, no walks in that game. Dan Herron opposed him. He went 8 innings and gave up just 2 runs.
Bour takes up and in at 97. And he's on his way down to first. Every weeknight, don't miss MLB Whip Around on Fox Sports 1. Highlights, instant analysis, live look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around airs weeknights 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Streams live on Fox Sports Go. So another walk. And Echeverria. It's a career high for De La Rosa in walks.
The tough part about Echeverria, and we talked about it in the 1st inning when he hit into that 6-4-3 double play. He's hit into 13. Is that a lot of them, even going back to last year, a lot of them are early in the count, which frustrates you. And if you want to improve in that area, it would be not to do it early in the count.
Like that.
Wow.
On a 1-0 pitch. 3rd double play for De La Rosa. 2-0 Arizona. the Marlins and their fans. Log on, go to marlins.com/fishfamily. Here's your bonus code tonight, kids. It's Prado. And there you go. It's Fish Family. Martin Prado and the Marlins are down 2-0. That's because Ruby De La Rosa, despite being wild, has also been able to get ground balls, lots of them, and 3 double plays. David Phelps ventures into the 6th. Wellington Castillo fouls it back and out of play.
Yeah, it's amazing that De La Rosa, having walked 5, has thrown through 6 innings, 85 pitches. His pitch count in pretty good shape. And David Phelps was at 85 coming into this inning.
Breaking ball for a strike. $17,668 in the ballpark tonight. Count 1-2. Weather actually the last few days here in Phoenix has been unseasonably cool. Instead of 108, it's been 98. So we're going to miss. Castillo goes down.
Every once in a while, Phelps has made some good pitches with that curveball. Good one there to get Castillo to chase. Yeah, we've been here this time of year where it's been 110 or more. So to be in the 90s, a nice break. Of course, nice and comfortable inside here.
Jake Lamb, a line drive hit his last time up, almost the same spot into center. And so Lamb has hit it back up the box for a couple of hits.
You mentioned Lamb, Rich, out of the University of Washington. Always hit in about 250 games in the minor leagues. A .321 career average. So he's a guy that, you know, coming up in their system. Last year between AA and AAA hit .327.
Here's Owings. Owings out of Gilbert, South Carolina. He was headed to play baseball for the Gamecocks in the SEC.
Maybe had he done that, would have been a teammate of Sam Dyson's.
Pitch in. Owings has flied to center twice.
Brad Hand getting loose. The Diamondbacks had their #1 pick at the ballpark tonight. Dansby Swanson out of Vandy. Yeah, out of Vanderbilt. Just signed. Shortstop.
Not a pitcher. I mean, it seems like every #1 pick that Vandy's produced lately has been pitchers, and really good ones.
College World Series for Swanson. So I'd imagine that delayed the signing process a little bit.
Good bunt by Owings. Phelps can't get it. That's a base hit. Chris Owings drops down a gorgeous bunt. Arizona runners first and second. As you pointed out, Tommy, there is Swanson.
Big kid, too, as a shortstop. You always wonder with a kid with the size that it appears he has, if that'll translate into moving over to third base or if he'll remain a shortstop. Not much David Phelps could do with that bunt. Beauty of a bunt by Owens.
Yeah, Phelps made a very athletic play to get off the mound as quickly as he did. And he was obviously trying to slide and pick it and pop and throw. And as it is, it's a base hit. Ahmed now. He tripled to right center and flied to right.
The Arizona bullpen just getting going. So this is an important at bat because you have the pitcher on deck. And you don't know if Chip Hale will stay with De La Rosa or if he'll go with a pinch hitter if Phelps is able to get Ahmed.
Matt Stites is in the pen.
Sometimes a manager will start a pitcher in the bullpen as a little bit of a decoy.
Breaking ball misses up and in. Well, the decision may have to be made here a little quicker than you'd think with the count at 3-0. Toyota trend. Diamondbacks all-time best versus an opponent. They have dominated the Marlins here. Padres have had absolutely no success here. Well, De La Rosa's on his way to the plate, and so Stites was up in what looks like a bit of a decoy. And he's actually going to sit down.
And that's what it was. De La Rosa was going to hit all the time. Kind of interesting with these two franchises coming in the same year, 1993. The Diamondbacks have had 5 Cy Young winners. The Marlins none. But the Marlins have had 4 Rookie of the Years. And the Diamondbacks none.
To right, it falls. Ichiro has it. He's going to get it out at second. But the Diamondbacks are going to get a run. De La Rosa busts his bat. And it's 3-0 Arizona.
So it's a fielder's choice. It goes 9-6. But with De La Rosa making contact, Arizona, who by the way came into being in 98, not 93, Arizona gets a run out of it. There you can see by David Phelps' reaction. He knows he made a good pitch. Sawed off the bat of De La Rosa. And all of a sudden, Dan Jennings is going to make the move.
3-0 Arizona. Wes Kendall called to the bullpen. That last pitch, he sheared off the bat from Ruby De La Rosa, who got it into right. It produces a run. It's 3-0 Arizona, and Brad Hand enters. You can see for Hand, he's been in the bullpen in a 5.53 ERA, kind of the emergency starter, long man, which is really hard, certainly for a guy like Hand, who's used to being a starter, trying to stay sharp and get work. And he's going to come in and face the lefty Ender Inciarte. Inciarte, the leadoff spot, is 1 for 3. And a couple of innings on the 11th of July against Cincinnati. 3 starts and his 22nd relief appearance.
You can see in the dugout the frustration from David Phelps. He's a competitor, and he battled with, I don't want to say not his best stuff, but not his best command tonight. And you know, deep down, he wanted to get through that 6th inning himself.
Ball and a strike. Padres have a 2-1 lead over the Giants. That's top of the 5th. Marlins and Padres, a 4-gamer, starts on Thursday night. Back to Hand, who has it. Nicely done. Flip to first. Inning is over. Diamondbacks get a run. To the 7th we go. It's 3-0 Arizona.
Look at who is due up for the Fish. It's Derek Dietrich, JT Realmuto, and Cole Gillespie. Those are 3 of 8 guys that were not on the opening day roster. Take a look at some of those other players. Carter Capps, who has racked up 50 strikeouts since being called up. Even a guy like Justin Bour, who has hit 10 home runs for the Marlins. So, Rich, Tommy, it's obviously been a frustrating year with injuries, but what this graphic shows is that the Fish are getting significant contributions from the players that they have called up.
And Jessica and Tommy, I think the hope is in the next couple of weeks that the Marlins get their 2 All-Stars back, D. Gordon and Giancarlo Stanton, and Marcell Ozuna. All reports and accounts is coming along in New Orleans, swinging the bat well. The adjustments he's been asked to make, he has made. The results have been coming. It's been about, what, 10 games down there for Ozuna.
Yeah, hitting over a 350, a couple of home runs, has 3 doubles.
And you would expect to see him back pretty quickly.
I think the news was good on Giancarlo's latest exam. Everything checked out. He's going to start some dry swings with the bat. And it was great to see D. Gordon enjoy the All-Star game, even though he couldn't participate in the game.
Derek Dietrich against Ruby De La Rosa, who has fashioned a few nice changeups like that. I don't think you can be a Dominican right-hander and not be able to throw that circle change like
they don't let you out of the country.
Pedro and is it Mario Soto? Jose Rijo. Dietrich to right, hit well and deep. Inciarte back, leaps, top of the wall, and gone. And Derek Dietrich with his 4th homer of the season on a 1-1 pitch. Inciarte, the wall, and the ball all converging at the same time.
Well, 11 hits in his last 19 at bats. That's an over 500 average. In 15 games in July, he's hit over 400. And the thing that Derek Dietrich is able to supply is power. Like he got that changeup again. Changeup or two-seamer that moved away is out over the plate.
Line drive center field. Real Muto smacks one to center. And all of a sudden, De La Rosa, who'd been perplexing the Marlins for 6 innings, giving up just the 3 singles, gives up 2 hits right away here in the 7th. The homer by Dietrich and the single by Real Muto.
I think the other thing about Derek Dietrich, Rich, he's been fairly solid at third base as well.
Yeah, and for both Justin Bour and Derek Dietrich, one of the differences this year is that they have excelled as pinch hitters. Bour struggled with that last year. Dietrich didn't really excel at it either, but this year Dietrich's had some really significant pinch hits. So has Bour.
I think a part of that's been experience. The experience that they got last year. And I think, too, the little report that Jessica had on the players that are here now that weren't early in the year, getting the experience that they're getting during this time down the road can only make the ball club a better club.
Every team has injuries. The team that has the best organizational depth is able to withstand those injuries. Now, the Marlins were struggling before the injuries. Obviously, the injuries haven't helped. There's a 1-0. I mean, as you noted, Gillespie coming up has performed well. Bour in that cleanup spot. There's Michael Morse on deck. Steve Cishek in Miami's bullpen. 2-0 pitch coming to Gillespie. Rolls one up the middle, and Ahmed to first.
Wow.
The 4th double play of the night turned by the Diamondbacks.
Boy, they are rally killers. Can't help them most of the time. Ahmed with a nice bit of footwork to complete that double play. But it's been that kind of game for De La Rosa. A lot of walks. He's walked 5, but his defense has turned 4 double plays, a lot of it because of pitches he's made.
Morse hits in the pitcher's spot. Ahmed tested again, and the inning is over. Derek Dietrich's homer to right. Miami is on the board, but down 2, 7th inning stretch. Pembroke Pies, price, service, selection. You're going to love us. And by Checkers, mix and match our famous Big Buford and Big Chicken Deluxe. Get 2 for $5. Checkers, it's in the bag. 7 hits, 3 runs for Arizona. A Derek Dietrich homer accounts for the only run and 1 of 5 hits for Miami. Steve Cishek for Miami. Cishek takes over for Brad Hand, who finished off the bottom of the 6th.
In the conversation that we had with Chuck Hernandez, he likes the progress that Cishek has made to this point, likes the way he's thrown the ball, kept the ball down.
Tough part of the order here. Pollock, Goldschmidt, Peralta. Pollock has walked. This is one of those ball games where the 2 starters both had control issues. Neither had great ball strike ratios. David Phelps, 5 2/3, 3 runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Ruby De La Rosa in his 7 innings, 5 walks, 1 strikeout, but just 1 run, 4 double play balls.
You could have fooled me after the first inning and said that De La Rosa is going to give Chip Hale 7 innings.
All-star center fielder A.J. Pollock. In fact, the Diamondbacks so deep in outfield talent that they were able to trade Mark Trumbo. And they were left with Inciarte, Pollock, an all-star, and Peralta, who was their cleanup hitter.
Well, they were also 3 very good defensive outfielders.
Now you got a base stealer at first, and Chip Hale showed that he was aggressive in Miami. He's been aggressive all year. Goldschmidt. Cishek trying to keep Pollock close.
Cishek as quick as he can be to first, but it still takes him a while because of his frame, the way he sets up. It takes him a while to throw over there.
Up the middle, Echeverria. A little flip. Prado's turn. Nicely done. 6-4-3. Tomorrow night, it's Marlins and Diamondbacks. Chevron brings you the starters. Matt Latos and Jeremy Hellickson.
So the Marlins have turned 2 double plays. Diamondbacks have turned 4.
Peralta takes the ball. Peralta, pitcher in the Cardinals organization, had those shoulder issues and surgeries, and then ended up coming back through the independent leagues as a position player. Sat out 3 years while the shoulder healed.
Yeah, he was released as a 21-year-old as a pitcher by the Cardinals.
Never feels good. Baseball shoes have, much like any other athletic equipment, come light years in a very short time. They are a rather thin material. No longer are they sturdy like boot type. See, the catchers have the protection that goes out over the shoes. Used to be the catcher shin guards only went down just down below the shins and covered the ankles. Nice hitting by Steve Cishek. Got the double play and then struck out Peralta to the 8th, 3-1. Arizona. High-def highlights.
Well, a big hit early in the game came from David Peralta. Drove in 2 runs with that single. Ahmed had tripled in the inning. There were a couple of walks. And then how about this? A fielder's choice. It drops. Ichiro gets the out at second base, but a run comes in to score on De La Rosa's bloop. And the Marlins' only run was not a bloop. It was a blast, just out of the reach of NCRT in right field. Home run number 4 on the year for Derek Dietrich.
A few ticks for midnight back home. Late night with the Fish. The Action Weather team. It's hot and it's 96 right now outside. Nice and pleasant in Chase Field. Jessica Blaylock. Tommy Hutton back from his vacation. John Sulcer, our producer, also back from his sabbatical.
And we have Email Twitter Tuesday coming up.
Christian Roberts, our director tonight. Ken Lee, our graphics coordinator. There's been an Oliver Perez sighting. Here he is.
17th year as a professional. 11th year in the big leagues. Out of Culiacan, Mexico. And I would imagine every time he takes the mound, there's a Met fan somewhere saying, how can this guy still be pitching? But he's made a nice transition working out of the bullpen.
Yes, he has. He gets Ichiro, Martin Prado, and then Yelich. 1-1 coming to Ichiro, who's walked in 0 for 2. Rolls that one up the middle. That's going to be a base hit. Ichiro around first, and he'll hold right there. And so for Ichiro, who had 3 hits yesterday, that is 2,897. So he's 3 shy of 2,900.
And also that base hit for Ichiro extends his hitting streak to 7 consecutive games.
After 7 innings of Ruby De La Rosa's double play grounders, the Marlins going after Oli Perez. There's Prado, who's bounced out twice and walked. Wow, that's close.
Quick snap throw. It's a move that some left-handers just can't make, but a step off and a snap throw, it's a quick one by Perez. Wow. Usually when a guy has that move, he doesn't have the leg kick deceptive type move. It's either one or the other.
Well, the last thing you want to do down by 2 in the 8th is get picked off. Marlins have Casey McGee on their bench. They have used Michael Morse. A little bit of a quick pitch there.
Yeah, it was. And it's the little things like that that have kept Oliver Perez around.
Who has the best quick pitch? Is it Johnny Cueto?
Yeah, we saw him alter it a couple of times. A little different. Where will he be after July 31st?
Pitch is a strike. And it's 1-2. Well, the Marlins have seen 2 guys who are at the top of everyone's lists, Cole Hamels and Johnny Cueto. If you could make a trade and get either one of those guys, who would you get?
Hamels.
Prado to left, hits it well. Back goes Peralta at the track. He makes the catch. Ichiro retreats. Nice play by Peralta. A line drive out from Martin Prado. Early in the ball game, we asked for the Data Strong fan photo of the game, and there it is. Cecilia, you're breaking my heart. You're shaking my confidence daily. Hashtag FL Data Strong fan. It's your chance to be an upcoming telecast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Yelich 1 for 3. Ichiro still at first.
The reason I said Hamels so quickly, first of all, he's a left-hander. I don't know, it's always nice to have a lefty in the rotation. He has a favorable contract. Cueto, I believe, is a free agent after this year.
And that's why I would trade for Cueto and not Hamels.
Well, then you're just going to rent him for a couple of months.
Amen.
You wouldn't have to give up as much.
I'm in for that.
All right. But if you go for Hamels, you have to give up a little more because now you're into Hamels for more of the long run.
And that's what scares me, I think, about Hamels would be it's 3 more years, but if he's healthy, if he gets 400 innings in 17 and 18, 19 is guaranteed, and I believe $20 million a year. 0-2. Breaking ball, and it's lined into center field. Yelich has got another hit. So a 2-hit night for Christian Yelich. And that's going to give Casey McGee an at-bat. Diamondbacks bullpen is active. McGee coming to the plate. Perez gives up the hit. We'll see if Chip Hale makes a move after the Marlins make a move. They've got one of their best relievers and another guy who is a target for many teams, Brad Ziegler, in the bullpen right now.
Nice approach by Yelich. Remember early in the year when Yelich had some struggles and he was really down against left-handed pitching, and we had brought up the point that last year he hit over 300 against lefties. That base hit right there puts him over 260 against left-handers this year. So all of a sudden he's picked it up in that area as well.
Chip Hale on his way out to the mound. So for McGee, it's going to be an at-bat against Ziegler. So the Marlins are saying here they would rather have McGee against Ziegler than Bohr against Perez. Chip Hale's I think buying some time for Ziegler to get loose.
He's just kind of waiting until the home plate umpire Larry Vanover gets out there. Here he comes. So yeah, he's giving Ziegler 8 or 10 more pitches by doing what he did. And in the meantime, Ziegler just standing there.
West Kendall Toyota cuts the tension with this call to the bullpen. And here is Brad Ziegler. Miami has bounced into 4 double plays tonight. Since 2008, no one in baseball has induced more double plays than this guy, Brad Ziegler.
He did it when he was with Oakland, and he's been probably more successful in the last 4 years as a Diamondback.
So there's the combination. McGee has bounced into 16 of them. That leads the National League. But maybe the Marlins have hit their quota for the night. Ziegler on a great run. And he settles in with 1 out here in the 8th.
You know, the one thing about Ziegler, 35 years old, you got that unique delivery. But the key to his uniqueness is that he keeps the ball down with regularity.
Those numbers for Casey include San Francisco and his short stay here in Miami. Pitches out as a Marlin. 4 hits in 17 at bats. He's driven in 4 and a couple of doubles. Ichiro at second. Yelich at first. You got terrific speed out there. And McGee, a chopper towards short. Ahmed gets the out. Miami still alive at the corners, and here comes Echeverria.
How about Ahmed? It looked like he picked that ball barehanded. He was thinking double play.
Shortstop.
It really wasn't a double play ball. The high chopper. There's the pick, barehand pick. He gets some help from Owings at second on a nice stretch.
You know, the Marlins are looking at this. Yelich had an enormous lead and almost beat that throw to second.
Nope.
No challenge, but great hustle by Yelich, who had that extensive lead.
And that's always to our point. When you're at first and there's a runner at second and the first baseman's behind you, get as big a lead as possible. And sometimes you can beat that throw. And Yelich almost did.
Frustrating night for Echeverria. He's 0 for 3. He's bounced into 2 of the 4 double plays, and he's flied out. And a strike from Ziegler. Top 8. Etch has had success against this. Would you call him a sidewinder? Submariner?
Well, I can't take credit for this at all. Our producer, John Seltzer, fresh off a little sabbatical himself, made the comparison Ziegler's a cross between Steve Cishek and Randy Choate.
But he looks like Choate and throws like Cishek?
Choate down from the left side.
That one fouled at the plate.
Ziegler will give you more innings, though, than Randy Choate. Choate's in for just a couple of lefties. Ziegler can be in for the long haul.
That is a good call. The sabbaticals have done you guys well.
He doesn't leave too many breaking balls up in that area, and Echeverria knows he had a pretty good pitch to hit.
And Cishek's on, much like Ziegler. He'll throw that fastball to a right-hander, will come back and catch the outside part of the plate. Echeverria in protect mode with the count 1-2. That's a tough pitch to take against Ziegler. 2-2. Echeverria, a couple hits, including an RBI double yesterday. Got a fastball and fouls it back.
He's had a couple of pretty good pitches to hit in this at bat.
Two again. That frisbee slider, maybe a little sharper than a frisbee, and it stays alive. 2-2. McGee at first, Ichiro at third. Check swing. Did not go. This has turned into a real nice at bat from Echeverria.
He's had a couple of tantalizing pitches he's been able to lay off of. He's had a couple of pretty good pitches that he's fouled off. See what he gets. 3-2.
Runner goes, it's out, and Echeverria walks. You know, you watch this at bat by Echeverria, and I know he's a guy that is prone to early contact. But I think that at bat shows you that somewhere deep inside is a guy that has some plate discipline.
Yeah, he showed it there. And it's one of those things you would hope as his career advances, that each year he gets a little bit better in that situation.
Well, the stage is set now for the guy that's provided Miami with their only run of the night, as Miguel Rojas comes in to pitch run for Casey McGee, and that's Derek Dietrich. It was a changeup, 87 miles an hour, and it banged off the top of the wall and into the seats for Dietrich, his fourth of the season. He's walked and bounced out. He gets the right-hander.
I think this is a good fit for Dietrich. I think he's going to pick up Ziegler pretty well.
There's strike one. Ziegler's given up just 2 home runs this year. They've both been to lefties.
Dietrich with 1 home run tonight. He did have a 2-homer game. That was in Cincinnati.
And that breaking ball comes across for a strike.
Now I would be surprised if Ziegler gives him much to hit. They had 0-2. He's going to try to get Dietrich to chase something.
He's seen a fastball. He's seen a breaking ball. 0-2. That one's out. See his last 6 games. One-two coming. That one's out.
Now he has to start getting a little more in the strike zone. Tried 2 pitches to get Dietrich to chase.
The splits for Dietrich. And the 2-2. Breaking ball hammered foul.
All this is good for Dietrich because he's seen a number of pitches.
Seen all 3. Ichiro, Rojas, Echeverria. Brad Ziegler. The 2-2 to Derek Dietrich. Now it's full. And he's missed on all 3 changeups. They've been out.
How about the back-to-back at-bats of Echeverria and now Dietrich? Taking a lot of pitches, taking the count full.
Ziegler a minuscule 1.13 ERA. Runners on the move. 3-2. And that one is pulled foul. The difference in this ball game, the Diamondbacks got the big hit. That was the 2-run single back in the 3rd from David Peralta. The Marlins with an opportunity here. Derek Dietrich is battling one of the toughest sidewinders in the game. Lefty bats are still hitting under 200 against him.
This is a great grind it out at bat.
3-2 again. Dietrich up the middle. Right there is Ahmed who gets the out. And the Marlins leave him loaded. Ziegler escapes. Still 3-1. Long, MLB.com at bat. #1 app for live baseball. Up to the moment, any moment. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablets. Changes. Follow along with us. Martin Prado from second moves to third. Derek Dietrich from third across the diamond to first. Miguel Rojas, who pinch ran for Casey McGee, is at second base. And Steve Cishek is still in there. Second inning for Cishek. Wellington Castillo. The pitch misses outside. The Diamondbacks' last catcher lives in Wellington. And now their starter is Wellington. Right? Isn't that where Jared Saltalamacchia lives?
That is correct. Spelt with 2 L's, though. Not 1 L, as in Wellington Castillo.
Okay, it's a stretch. I said play along with us.
And it's after midnight back home.
Yes, it is. Jake Lamb, Chris Owings will follow against Cishek. Marlins got a nice start from David Phelps tonight. As you pointed out, Tommy, he didn't have his best command. He hung in there 5 2/3. 3 hits, or rather 3 runs on 7 hits. Brad Hand got an out. Cishek into his second inning.
And I think with Cishek, he had such a good inning last inning, and he was facing a tough part of the lineup, Pollock, Goldschmidt, and Peralta. So with the good inning he had in the 7th, back out there a little down in the lineup. And that helps the bullpen. If he can come out and have another good inning, gives the ball club 2 innings. It just saves that bullpen a little bit. Good pitch.
Castillo strikes out. And here comes Lamb. We check in on the other games. The Padres continue to lead the Giants. It's now 3-2, top 6 in San Diego. Angels 7-3, top 8. They've already defeated Boston in the first game this afternoon, 11-1.
Pujols hit number 27 in that first game, that 11-1 win. He has 2 in the second game. So Albert Pujols now with 29 home runs.
And I'll tell you another guy that's a real shot in the arm to a surging Angels team. Former Marlin lefty Andrew Heaney went 7 innings, gave up 2 runs. His ERA is 1.57. He's in line for his 4th win.
He's done a nice job. He started the year in AAA. And ever since his recall, has pitched well for Mike Scioscia.
Unique scoreboards here. The out-of-town scoreboards draped up high in this expansive building.
Yeah, I like them because, number one, they're visible. You can always see American League or National League, and you can always find every game. It's a nice feature.
Cishek misses up. Jake Lamb, couple line drives up the box for hits. Pulls that one. Tumbling over. And getting the out is Derek Dietrich. How about that? Dietrich makes the play, gets the out. We check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Yeah, guys, it's a special late night edition of our Marlins Live postgame show presented by Checkers. I'll be hosting live from the field. DLR equals DPs. 4 double plays tonight for the Fish. Also, Double D goes deep. It's the 4th home run of the season for Derek Dietrich. We'll also have postgame comments from the clubhouse as well. That's all coming up on our Marlins Live postgame show presented by Checkers.
All right, thank you. A lot of D's coming up on the post-game show. That one into left field off the bat of Chris Owings. And he's got himself a 2-out single.
Just in honor of the late, great Hall of Famer, Don Drysdale. Double D.
Good old double D. That one into left. Don Drysdale. How about the run that Zach Greinke is on right now? Whether it's Drysdale or Oral Hershiser.
Hershiser was 59 scoreless, consecutive scoreless innings. Greinke at 43 2/3. That's over 6 starts. Of course, one of those starts against the Marlins. 8 shutout innings last night in Washington. He's 9-2 and has an ERA of 1.30.
Pitch to Ahmed is in. Significant that there's no one throwing. And that means Brad Ziegler is going to come out in the ninth. Ziegler actually is on deck right now.
Now he's going to try to get a 5-out save. He has 14 saves on the year.
Thrown 20 pitches. Runner goes. Pretty good jump. Real Muto's throw. And he's out. Rojas with a sweep tag. Nice throw by JT Real Muto. As he throws out Chris Owens. Diamondbacks are going to take a peek. We'll get our first look as well in replay.
I think he's out. Naked eye tells me he got the tag on the top part of his body before he reached the bag. Let's see. There it is. Tags right there.
And that's all she wrote to the ninth. Brought to you by your South Florida Honda dealers, by Kubota. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. And by Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit us at FloridaCoastEQ.com. Ninth inning, Brad Ziegler, fastball misses out. Ziegler trying to nail down a save. That's 21 pitches now for Ziegler, who came in, faced 3 hitters in the 8th. JT Real Muto, Cole Gillespie, and then the pitcher spot for Miami.
See if the Marlins can take advantage of what doesn't look like a sharp Brad Ziegler. Of course, had the really good at-bats from Echeverria and Dietrich last inning, seeing a lot of pitches.
That was a strike. That's a perfect pitch at the knees on the corner. 1-2. And he got him. Real Muto down on strikes.
Think about a guy like Ziegler, because of his experience. He's been in situations before where he maybe hasn't had his best stuff, and then all of a sudden starts putting it together and he made some really good pitches to Real Muto.
Here's the amazing thing to me. A guy like Ziegler out of the bullpen, whose ERA is 1.13. That's only his 23rd strikeout of the season. Strike to Gillespie.
He hasn't had a lot of multiple inning saves, because coming into the game tonight, 40 games, he's thrown 40 innings.
Gillespie gets a piece, and now it's 1-2, and it looks like the 9th inning Ziegler is sharper than the 8th inning Ziegler.
Yeah, it does. He has had 7 saves of more than 1 inning.
Two and two. He's hanging in there. Pitch number 31 coming from Brad Ziegler. Chip Hale trying to coax a 5-out save from his right-hander. And so at 31 pitches, this equals his longest outing in terms of pitches in an appearance. He did that against the Padres in early May.
Well, this appearance tonight, the number of pitches, you also look ahead to the next couple of games of this series. See how Chip Hale handles that, especially tomorrow night.
Over the mound, Owings hesitated but gets the out. And Miami is down to their last out here tonight in Arizona, down 2. And it's Donovan Solano who comes to the plate.
That looked like a double clutch from Owings. He tried to get it out, tried to get out again, and finally made a strong throw to get the out.
At bats have been hard to come by for Solano this year. And it's 0-1. Solano yesterday came in when Miguel Rojas was overcome by the heat, and then left for Derek Dietrich when Dietrich pinch hit in the 8th. Oh, 2. Pitches in. It was close. Castillo was set up out, and it just missed. Watch Castillo try to snap it back in. That's never a pleasant thing for an umpire. Solano figures he better swing at this one, and he got a piece of it. 1-2. Down low. You know, you think about it, if Solano's able to get on base, the Diamondbacks will probably get another reliever up. But Solano's got to get on base. 2-2. And it's fouled back to the screen. You know, with most closers, they're out there and it's, you know, it's the point of no return. The guy's out there either saves the game or doesn't. But in this case,
yeah, when you're approaching 40 pitches.
When you're approaching 40 pitches, now he could end it with one pitch. And Solano won't go down easy here.
This will be one of those tomorrow when Ziegler comes into the clubhouse. One of the first guys Chip Hale goes up to will be Brad Ziegler and ask him how he feels.
Got him. Breaking ball. A 40-pitch save. And the Diamondbacks snap their 6-game losing streak. And for the Marlins, the low water mark, 38-55, 17 games under 500. In a frustrating night in the desert. They dropped all 4 games on this road trip after being swept in Philadelphia. Marlins Live is coming up. Arizona, a 3-1 winner. Craig Minervini, Carl Pavano, Jessica Blaylock from the field on Marlins Live.